When celebrating the Chinese New Year, people get ample time to express the abundance of emotion that's been built up over the year. The mother is slowly cooking food on a small flame over the stove. The father is waiting alone at the harbour. The kitchen is filled with the smell of cooking and the melodies sung by the elderly. All details of life signify deliberate thinking and soft sentiments. These various feelings of homesickness, longing and facing the past reach a most safe and comfortable expectation thanks to the Chinese New Year.
段木啊，段木就是这段木最好的哈。
哎，好近的
这有地洞啊，
这个，
哎呀，
啊，
挺好，
这是空的，
哎，还挺香啊，就是选择它吧。
Getting up early in the morning, so Ji Yo is looking for suitable hollow timber in a forest not far from his home. He is rushing to get the old log cabin that belongs to his family fixed up before the Chinese New Year. This hollow piece of wood will be perfect for a new chimney. Jinjiang Village, where Zhou Jiyo's family is located, is an ancient village that formed naturally below the Changbai Mountains. All of the families here use wooden chimneys, and all the houses were built with wood. These houses were commonly seen in the Changbai Mountains in the past, with walls built from timber, roofs laid with wooden tiles, and hollow tree trunks made into chimneys, with fences and kennels made of wood, and even the flower pots inside the houses are carved from wood. In the over 50 houses scattered across the hillside, not a single brick can be seen. With a handful of sunflower seeds and a bag of tobacco, one can walk through the village in just a few minutes. There are almost no young people in the village, and each of the people over 40 or 50 years old can build a log cabin. All of Mr. Zhou's memories are carried by the log cabin village. When older generations of his family migrated from Shandong to this village, it was at its height, with over 100 resident households. Nowadays, it has become difficult to rely purely on the mountains to make a living, so young people have started leaving the village, which lacks convenient transportation, to work in the city. Only just over 20 households remain as the village's residents.
多钱咱也不能卖，你卖了你干啥呀？咱在这一家人干挺好。你这是刚开始干头一年，以后一年比一年强。咱现在面积也小。
Zhou Jiyo has never considered leaving the log cabin village. Even with the people in the village becoming fewer, it is still his hometown and worthy of a lifetime of watching over. For the Chinese New Year celebrations this year, Mr. Zhou plans to make use of the opportunity to fix up the house and give the entire family a holiday. Since they started a family inn, guests have been coming here throughout the year. The closer to Chinese New Year it gets, the busier it gets. It's already been several years since Mr. Zhou's family has had a decent celebration for the Chinese New Year. As soon as she gets free time, Liu Nan takes her two children to make paper cuttings. The Zhou family's daughter-in-law, who handles cooking responsibilities in front of the stove every day, is even better at paper cutting. For any visible object, using the technique of the Northeast-style paper cutting, she can make a paper cutting that is true to life. To add more dishes to the table for the family during the Chinese New Year celebrations, Father of two, So De Kai, is going to a small frozen river near the village to fish. Before, as soon as winter arrived, his father would take him to the river to catch fish. After cutting open the thick layer of ice, a dense school of fish can generally be seen.
咕咚家伙就上来好几条，啊有货呀！哐哐这顿割了，一顿搅出10来斤，来劲啊！本来就寻放弃回家了，咔咔一割了出来了，这一看。
我也会挑干净，然后洗几遍，上锅里糊。
The mother takes responsibility for staying at home and making a traditional northeastern dessert, Nian Ho Shao. The more earnestly you handle this kind of simple dessert, the better it tastes. A housewife in the village who stands over a stove from morning till night is only a master of 1 or 2 dishes, even as she reaches old age. Even the best one is only good at cooking an entire meal. In the log cabin village, as more and more people flock to the city, the traditional large pots and large stoves seem to gradually become fewer. As the cold air of the mountain forest blows away the fog, the site of the small village is gradually revealed. When family members finish handling what they each have at hand, the Zhou family, staying behind in their log cabin, will take their time to prepare the reunion dinner on Chinese New Year's Eve. All the hopes for the Chinese New Year's celebrations are in these leisurely days.
哎呀，你这里边吧，就在这吧，你就坐我腿上吧。
我的奶呢？
你的奶一会儿就来了。爸爸小时候可没有你这么讨伐，小瑞，
也差不多。
爸爸小时候可没你这么讨伐。
奶奶给你包个饺子，吃个饺子长1岁。你听奶奶说，听话，大学生了，上学懂事了。今年过年，今天吃一个饺子长1岁，佳瑞长1岁，对吧？
咱这村里啊人也少了。前几天县里面还有些朋友要去俄罗斯了，去那边包地。
即使挣钱挣的多，咱也不能去呀。
咱走不了。
去年你不都说了吗？这就是咱们的根。我从小也在这里长大的。
我和你说哈，我这岁数大了。我都不想走，你更不能走。你走了这木屋村这些房子，自己家这些东西谁来管？是一个木头房子，这木屋啊，老祖宗留下来的，就得靠啥？靠自己。你去呵护它，哪个地方看哪个地方需要修理了，这样爱护它才能保留下来。钱挣的再多也不能走啊。来，
好，来，
过年了，喝一口来。
来，鱼好不好吃啊？
好不好吃？
好不好吃鱼？好吃，你没给爷爷拜年就先吃东西了。来，给爷爷拜年，说爷爷过年好。好。佳莹也说爷爷过年好。
爷爷过年好。
哎，好来，好，干杯嘞！过年喽，来喽，又长1岁啦。
As white snow covers the log cabin village, the Zhou family, who have lived in the village for generations, watch over their hometown by living a simple life. There is nothing that makes you more at ease than being able to safely and comfortably celebrate the Chinese New Year in the small village left behind by your ancestors. Since becoming a fisherman at the age of 16, Jiang Changli has already become used to seeing departures, homecomings, and restless waves here. Due to drifting at sea throughout the year, fishermen are commonly not in good health. The majority of them can only work until they reach their 50s. As such, this year, in which he turns 60, Jiang Changli has decided to hand his fishing boat over to his son to look after. Ocean fishing is about to stop for the winter. In order to reunite with their families in the Chinese New Year, The sons, who have been fishing in the distant sea for half a year, will be hurrying home within the next few days. Although he started going out to sea to fish with his father as a teenager, Jiang Bin hasn't been able to be at the helm himself for long. In the summer, a half-year voyage will soon begin. Jiang Changli is worried. He insists on going aboard with his son to fix up the boat in coastal waters. The father and son's fishing boat is sailing in Liaodong Bay. It is the bay with the highest latitude in China and has an abundance of ocean produce. In the thousands of years of maritime profession, the fishermen of Gaizhou, living by the sea, rely on its fish and rice. For them, the sea has always been the sea of fortune. Nowadays, the ocean at their doors is sadly wasting, and the fishing villages are gradually shrinking. The older generation of fishers will soon come ashore, and the young people like Jiang Bin, who intend to continue fishing, are becoming fewer and fewer.
海里货不准呐，不知道什么天儿的什么季节，季节它这货是来多少，它确不准。
这一年要涨儿不就完了？
就靠点油补，你油补没有了，不就了了？
油没到手，货没拿着。
那上山东一带看看，
不行，到那边去离家太远了，有点什么事儿太不方便了。
每天也得去，要不就得停，一天就是干活，干活完了就累的干嘛就睡觉，睡觉醒了还是干活，吃住都在船上吃住，船上都是家。
Because the people who go out to sea avoid saying the word turn over, none of the pots and bowls on the boat can be placed upside down. Normally the father will never cook food, but in the swaying galley of the boat he can handle things smoothly. The only ingredients for lunch are home-cooked potatoes and cabbage. Even though they're fishing at sea, the fishermen are now reluctant to eat seafood. The good produce will be sold, and the remaining fish, shrimp and crabs will be made into sauce for meals. The people are accustomed to living this way. In the past, the boat was their home, and almost all of their daily lives took place on the boat. The children of fishermen like Jiang Bin have slept in the cabin since childhood, with the sound of waves filling their dreams. When his father goes ashore, Jiang Bin will navigate the fishing boat alone and sail to the region of the Shandong Peninsula or to more distant waters in the east. This means that in the next half-year period, for the sake of good catches, he will endure fatigue, risks and round-the-clock labour.
东东，那个爷扯着来，过来来，给爷拽着来。
Jiang Changli, who has worked hard for most of his life, can finally rest. While waiting for his son's return, he may join his wife in weaving fishing nets. He could also take his 2-year-old granddaughter, as is the tradition among fishing families, to symbolically make dried fish in the autumn.
好孩子，来，爷拿，哎，你太棒了。
The children who grow up on the coast aren't the least bit afraid of these ocean fish. The days go by quickly, and by the time the fresh fish will have slowly become dried, Chinese New Year will naturally have arrived. humid coast has just seen sleet that hasn't fallen in years. Despite his son being anxious to go home, the father, who has already been waiting for a long time, insists on first sorting out and cleaning the boat. Fishermen all have a special affection for the family fishing boat because it carries them in their life. It is the family's livelihood.
我就好好记着，别开了，别船别跑了，不能收拾，咱就回家。
这扣应该都能保住。
这回家就过年，来年再干吧。今年就这地了。呀，往那跳，哎呀，真棒！头脑真棒，跳的真棒。
Different from the stately father, entering the kitchen is the way the wife and mother express love. And there will be a more sumptuous reunion dinner on the table this year, which is in fact also the father's intention. A table of food that represents the family's intentions like this silently tugs at those who left home to set sail and work hard on the move. It seems that only because this busyness has existed can the atmosphere of Chinese New Year's Eve be sufficient.
你尝尝这鱼干，
红豆晒的，忘没忘？
吃嘛？
没忘。
没忘吃快尝尝，
奶奶
可好了。
尝尝，好不好吃？
香不香？
香不香？
将来这船呢，你都好好管理吧。你这什么事儿这在点心，这将来这都是恁自个儿挣多少都是恁自个儿的，使点心。有点喝了，喝醉了呗。干活的可注意。
怎么说？平平
有
安安的，
有风天都抱有大风咱就不干。
过年了平平安安的，
一家平平安安就行了。挣多多花，挣少少花。
On this evening, the always serious father advises his son of his wishes. The mother is serving the Spanish mackerel dumplings that she has just prepared. Her only wish is for her son to complete the long journey successfully and stay home for a long time.
现在这脚还好像鲅鱼这鱼线儿，这鱼线儿脚好。
During Chinese New Year, the father is going to take his son to an ocean god temple at the back of the mountain to burn incense. By doing that, he hopes to pay back the fulfilled wish and watch over his son's safety and homecoming in the coming year. In Chinese New Year celebrations, people always enjoy talking about their greatest wishes that carry their feelings like this.
什么花儿开呀？2月里来呀，兰桃花儿开呀。 南塘的花开呀，花开响起那个歌呀，花开响起这妹子啊，郎啊，这一盘小棋子儿啊，我算赢了你呀！
All the household duties to be done before Chinese New Year have been done. 73-year-old E02 finally has time to get on with her knitting. In the 10-odd years she's been in Fumin village after remarrying, this has more or less been her life. E02 has become accustomed to spending her time in the kitchen, working and humming melodies while waiting for her husband to come home and have dinner. What she's humming comes from most of her life's experience as a member of a private-owned song and dance duet troupe.
我的戏名叫尹小坤，唱的完戏前呢，提前就把这头发个就搞那个头卡什么的都给他卷上。这一个头卡给他别上，这面俩带卷带给他别上。哎呀，那阵红的就不用说了，大家伙的唱出去不说是勾人，真勾人。有的是那小伙子扔的手绢啊，那时候就不用提了。今天就扒了9天半苞米给他们别人，大伙都来找我来扒。你说我都70多岁了，给我累的都累不行了都。哎呦我的妈！你那多少钱呢？一天呢？120啊？你 哎呀，他一天就是晚上都挺好。
The 77-year-old Su Lanting enjoys going to the small shop at the entrance to his village to play a few rounds of poker with his neighbours during the liveliness of Chinese New Year. Whether or not you win at cards, you have to come home to eat. This is what he agrees to with his wife, E02. For most of the time during Chinese New Year, the two of them will sit on the edge of their heated bed, joking and chatting. Sometimes, when looking back on their years as travelling performers, singing a lifetime of song and dance duets, Su Lanting and Yin Yu Gui even today remember the arias of the simple and old local opera of the Northeast. Tens of years ago, they were the most popular performers in the surrounding villages.
我呀，相片这人要起老鼻子了，当小丫鬟在台顶唱一唱，看得好了，还叫我做那个动作，照完了他们拿当画片了。这多少年都扔了，不知道整哪去了。
In their once turbulent careers travelling everywhere, Su Lanting and Yin Yu Gui became acquainted. Unfortunately, fate was not their friend. Nearly 40 years after the two of them let each other slip away, they met once again. This will be their 16th Chinese New Year together.
那时候其实呢，应该俺俩结合到一起，
就订婚也就愿意了，完了就等叫我托媒。赶紧有个拉弦的呢，跟我俩挺好。他呢保媒没通过我，就给我保先头的死那个大娘。一气之下，他找别人，我就走了。我死那个老伴儿。
他有孩子以后呢，他还上那去唱过。他老伴儿死20来天，我才在他后院唱戏，回家4天去找我的。他说他老伴儿死，我还有点不相信。
他那个老伴儿也死了，
正好2000年，2000年到一起。你说这玩意儿也怪呀，就结合一起的，就像一场梦似的。
Chinese New Year is a time of running around and being busy for Su Gui Fen. Because she can sing old operas and new songs, as well as at weddings and funerals, Su Gui Fen has long since become famous, known far and wide throughout the village. Among the 3 boys and 2 girls in Mr. Su's family, only his eldest daughter, Su Gui Fen, followed in his footsteps. When celebrating Chinese New Year, Su Gui Fen also does her best to find time to go home and talk over life with his father and stepmother, over a hot meal and some drinks.
好久都没回来，
那为啥？
其实我想回来，没有时间。
那是不是7月都上你呢？
明个又上哪去了？
明天就上俺家那边去了。包公杂人那里头那个老太太唱那个段，是不是有的？
那是什么玩意儿？
自从你炸了籽儿小苞米的
啊。
自从你炸了籽儿小苞面呐，你带嫂嫂我胜过娘亲。
红木柳子，
这就柳子呗。
这就是柳子，你跟你头前杜氏娘子一样的。
你看我擦边行了去。
那你看这是有味儿，是
也不容易在外边。
哪能容易嘛？
这行人不好处。
不是啊，咱爹跟你说，爹是干这玩意儿干一辈子。演员超过50以后，啊，像你吧这样能将到55，能往上往下就不行了。所以说小点正戏，不用那个说口说浪的，就你这唱功，我唱赢你，就你唱这个味儿，像那个什么杜十娘，我小几个段子，一唱不赢他。
我吧不老经常回来，也就是能有到这边演出时吧，有时候回来看看你俩。就是姑娘也是有老多地方也做不到，所以说有时候我就寻思，我内心里寻思，也是希望你俩身体健康，就是你俩老的时候晚年幸福点，愿意吃啥就买点啥。你俩现在多幸福多好啊，感情也挺好的。
那年出演呢。 在外边过年呢，也是我和面呢。他们这帮小死孩不会和，你说呀，和的呀，和完事儿了，你说我还得赶集子，也像你似的不会赶集子。俺们大伙包完了，开始呢，他们的老百姓就找俺们了。
搁剧场过年，那是也没搁头过，就是一家一个伙食。那山下边贴个财神马子，也放着鞭炮。 完了，老板呢？那时候把那大彩电给搬到那屋去，给拿的茶，人家老板娘给买一袋面粉，
那挺好。
来过那回年。正月初2就到苏叶屯铁路俱乐部。
我在外边过了30个呀。好了，我这念父好了。你又来，
二不要你慌啊，
三不让你带错了。
小妹妹的花兜兜啊，
小妹妹送啊我的郎啊，空卡
送到大门东啊。
偏赶上这个老天爷
下雨又刮风啊，
刮风啊，倒不如
下点
正月那10
我要去逛逛啊，扫来呀，放灯啊，对，哎呦哎呀，扫来呀，放灯啊。这个播通知啊，各位演员请注意啊！今天上午在新村部排练2段，这个希望马上到场啊。
Chinese New Year celebrations are simple, but the third day of Chinese New Year is the most special day for Su Lanting and Yin Gui. Every year, on this day, Su Lanting gets everyone in the village together to go to the village hall and rehearse a song and dance duet. Despite it being called a rehearsal, it's just an occasion where the villagers take turns going on stage and amusing themselves. Over the last few years, this has become an unshakable tradition in the small village. Except the harvest and reunions, this is perhaps the happiest occasion of the year. With the song and dance duets and half a lifetime of sentiments that can't be forgotten, the elderly watch over the melodies of days gone by and also watch over their own memories of half a lifetime of rushing around. The laughter and tears, ups and downs of life, and all the clamour that time once brought set each other off now during Chinese New Year in this small mountain village. Simple repetition results in safety and comfort. Throughout the year, whenever the numbers 3, 6 and 9 appear on the lunar calendar, the people of Ma Yi village drive a trishaw into town to go to the market. Young Jun Ting is following her grandfather, looking for things to buy for Chinese New Year. Carrying her own pocket money, young Jun Ting plans to buy a pair of lanterns and several couplet scrolls. The 62-year-old Yang Gui understands what she is thinking. The lanterns and Chinese New Year scrolls are to welcome the return of her mum and dad. young Jun-ting doesn't have many opportunities to see her parents throughout the year because they work in Shanxi, tending to their restaurant and their younger son. As such, young Jun-ting has become the child that was left behind in the village. She was left in the care of her grandparents and has been growing up with them in the northeast since she was 6 years old.
忘了把大写呀。
写对没？啊，会写，我孙子学习挺好的。
不会写。
不会写了，哪个字不会写？父亲的父，底下搞个八字。
In the autumn, the northeast enters its busy season in farming. This ripe cornfield can bring a good harvest for Mr. Yang, but several days ago, young Jun-ting's grandmother injured herself doing farm work. It's the weekend, when she doesn't need to go to school, and the granddaughter sneaks out to help her grandfather work. Young Jun-ting has already become quite familiar with the work required in the cornfield, despite her age of 9. Because there aren't many children of a similar age in the village, she can only come to this field to sing songs and bathe in the sunshine on her own.
山里有我的好家园，山上是我们村里的树。
盼不盼过年呢？盼不盼过年？
可以刷新一次。
还可以得那个压岁钱，是不是？这压岁钱重要，是不是啊？
压岁钱能买那个好吃的。
平常反正他爸他妈就是过年都能回来一趟。咱们就是太远，你这好几千里路。
那面那个听不懂。
方言不行啊。说话听不懂。
别的我能听懂，那个就是说话那个听着可费劲了，我能听懂。我跟人两下，小时候就能听懂。你去溜达，你看见那个外国人，那个有一种那个是黑色的，脸整亮的，还有一种可白了。
哎，也是不容易事儿，撇家置业，弄个孩子，也得是你出去挣点钱，你也是没办法。
For Chinese New Year this year, Yang Zhongyu must come home alone. Because the restaurant and their son both need the care of his wife, Yang Zhongyu needs to make 4 transfers on the train on his own, after which he will arrive at home and see his parents and daughter, Yang Jun-ting. The green train is headed for his hometown. Like all other parents of children that were left behind, Yang Zhongyu has shame and unease as well as helplessness. Other mixed feelings can only be saved for the brief reunion of Chinese New Year.
回来想看看孩子，这走的时间太长了。 看不着不也惦记，也想，能不惦记吗？惦记也没有办法，这为了为给他们创造好的条件嘛，就得这种情况。因为父母不在半拉，就这个，早比别人小孩就少些母爱父爱了呗。这搁外头走好几年了，这孩子扔家了，也不行，所以现在感觉有点太愧对他了。
没有，
想妈妈没？
想的。
亲妈妈一个。爸爸身上凉不凉？
凉。
好，亲一个。早上起来看到爸爸。爸爸这回搁家陪你2天，行不行？
行。
高兴不？
高兴。
Chinese New Year is a time for all families to reaffirm the meaning of family. The usually lonely kitchen, because of the return of family members, now emits the warming smell of fire and smoke. The rules of cooking for the traditional reunion dinner dishes are already fixed. People don't need to reinvent them. The ancient and familiar flavours signify reunion. In this year's dumplings, the mother hasn't hidden coins as in previous years. She says blessings are better than gold because the peace and safety of the family is by far more important than wealth. And Yang Junting is constantly and silently following her father, acting as his assistant. Being with her father during this brief time together is her way of expressing her feelings.
鸡蛋呢？
你要鸡蛋干啥呀？
我要做菜。
Food can bring about a sympathetic response in people because it has the feelings and memories of tenderness and preciousness behind them. The scrambled eggs made by the daughter contain her feelings of waiting for her father that this 9-year-old child has. In China, there are almost 61 million children that get left behind. Chinese New Year is a time that these millions of households collectively wait for. The lanterns reflected in the windows keep close the affection for getting together.
大年初一头一天啊，家家团圆会儿啊，少的给老的拜年呐，也不论那个男和女呀，哎呦呦，哎呦呦呀，头发那细又穿呐，哎呦呦呦呦，头发那细又穿呐，哎呦。
Before winter, these days of making spicy cabbage together are the busiest time of the year for Han Dongji and other elderly ethnic Korean people. There are no more than 20 elderly people making up the permanent residents of Jinjiang Village. Even if it's eaten for 3 months a day every day, this is still enough spicy cabbage to last until the next year. The elderly store them in a cold cellar where they're gradually fermented. Once Chinese New Year arrives and the sons and daughters who've left the village to work come home, this spicy cabbage will be just in time to taste its best. Li Hu-chun will only let his wife seek out his traditional Korean clothing during the most important days of his life. Li Huchun's 60th birthday happens to fall in this year's Chinese New Year. In accordance with ethnic Korean customs, his son will organize a banquet to celebrate his 60th birthday. This grand banquet will take place during the Chinese New Year celebrations, making it a doubly happy occasion for the family. Early in the morning, Li Fengjie takes his wife and his mother to the market to buy food for his father's 60th birthday. Li Fengjie is the eldest son in the family. In the several years since returning to Hunchun from Japan, where he was studying, he has always helped his parents manage the family apple grove. His mother has especially written down all the food that needs to be bought one by one. As a young person who left home as a child, Li Fengjie doesn't entirely understand the old and complicated process. A 60th birthday banquet needs a lot of food, so the women of the family who understand the customs will often make preparations 2 days in advance. After heavy snowfall, Chinese New Year is about to arrive. Han Dongji has a lot of work to do for the family. She's just come home from queuing up in the village to buy pork for Chinese New Year. She still needs to clear the snow in front of the door to the house on her own. The 65-year-old Han Dongji's legs aren't well. She often needs to sit on the snow and pause for breath. In Jinjiang Village, there are less than 20 elderly people, including Han Dongji. The average age is over 60. Their sons and daughters are all working abroad, with few opportunities to come home.
我儿子出国了，过年是有的时候是2年一次、3年一次，就那样。现在每天打个电话完了以后，打个电话就行了，听就行了。现在有的时候是我去不了。 我女儿的钱，女儿的儿子钱1分钱不要，你们也是不要我的钱，就我自个活就行。你们愿意回来就回来，不愿意回来我拉倒。现在的年轻人吧，就是那样，你别怪他们，他们也是活得不容易，只是就心里也是不好受，也是不行，没办法呀，这个年头没办法呀。
过年那天吧，也来回闯，到这家喝点酒，到那家喝点酒，也有时候把门一关就自己过年。 我们现在也是爱着包饺子吃的。我们这么这么大岁，我们爱喝酒啊，能喝点酒，到这疯疯癫，唱个歌，跳个舞。以前我也爱玩，爱跳。
More than 10 years ago, Han Dongji was a member of the village's cadre. She was always relied on to help organize events for the elderly, big and small. For this Chinese New Year, Han Dongji, who feels lonely herself, plans to get the village's elderly together to celebrate the festival.
俺们家也是东西还差不多，就是你们家没缺的是俺们家有，俺们家缺的是你们家，我们一起过就行了。说什么呢？你是干？俺们这好几个家一起过年。 谢谢谢谢，哎，就我一点进来吧，进来就上那个朴景顺家去讨论讨论。米肠大糕，咸菜必须得上啊，还有蕨菜，蕨菜必须得上，明天那挺好嘛。那，他们老太一孤单的老太太们挺哎呀热闹的，咱他们也高兴了。
Only through a lot of trouble was Li Fengjie able to come by this screen. The 10 Immortals painting on the screen includes patterns with 10 kinds of symbols of auspiciousness and longevity. People who have come to send their birthday wishes have started placing pastries and confectionery in front of the screen, as well as whole pieces of fish and meat. The most prominent items of them are the figures of roosters. The elders of Untitled Village start to prepare the reunion dinner at lunchtime. Most of the cakes made by ethnic Korean households are made from beaten rice, but the ones made by the elderly people of Untitled are made from repeatedly beaten potatoes. Only they have mastered this ancient method. Tofu, marbled meat, spicy cabbage, small fish soup and chicken soup with cold noodles are all meticulously chosen from the Chinese New Year recipes of the elderly and brought as fine food to be shared. Li Huchun's 60th birthday will begin at lunchtime. The right to wish the birthday man longevity is the most important part. Sons and daughters who are already married kowtow and make a toast in succession according to gender and age. Next, relatives and guests who have come to offer congratulations make toasts. Regardless of who it is, when making a toast, a blessing of health and longevity must be offered. When the warm festivities to wish longevity are over, people begin sharing the sumptuous dishes on the table. This represents the hospitality and gratitude of the family of the person turning 60. Han Dongji and the other elderly people of the village also raise their glasses for Chinese New Year. Since the young people left their hometown, such lively moments have become few in this small village. When spring begins, sons and daughters will come home to visit the family. The elderly, who love drinking, will drink a few glasses more, which will be regarded as early celebrations. The most luxurious food doesn't have to cost the most money, but, though a long wait, it has to carry people's finest thoughts and wishes. A warm Chinese New Year banquet is the old mothers and fathers waiting for their sons and daughters to come home, and the younger generation's expression of warm, filial piety to the older generation. The days of waiting for someone to return always bring happiness that arises spontaneously. For ordinary households, those expectations in Chinese New Year are the peace and safety in daily life, year after year. This atmosphere of waiting for the new year is a feeling of safety that gives people the warmth and understanding of stability. Every year, fields will yield their good harvests. Fungi grow after the rain, river crabs hidden in rice fields, plump fruits and nice liquor. As a winter festival, Chinese New Year is a time for people to use seasonal and local food to praise the endowment of nature. People never forget about the meaning of sowing and harvest, and they always love the festive atmosphere brought by good harvests.